She fell, she fought, and in the end, she emerged victorious. This is the woman of today, and she is made of steel. Come and watch how she slays.
On the show today, it's She Slays. It's a Wednesday special, and I've got someone who's now become a global name. She, or should I say, her show with which is a documentary with Michelle Obama, has been nominated for the Emmys, and we're talking about TV's top honors. It's Prajakta Koli on the show today, and oh my God, she is slaying it or what? It's a good
Hi, thank you. No, the pleasure is completely mine. And thank you. That was a very, very warm introduction.
It is really nice to know that, I still remember when we first spoke and you've become a YouTube sensation. It's been a long time. You've graduated from there, or should I just say that you've kept moving on, done, television, done OTT platforms, moved into other platforms, dabbling in a few other things, maybe even a film. And now you did this documentary with Michelle Obama. That was kind of a scene changer. Of course, the Emmys have happened, but even getting into a conversation with Michelle Obama, the ex-first lady, is a big deal because she herself is a global icon. So tell us how it all happened first.
So I remember I was in Jodhpur. We were shooting Mismatched in 2019. When we got an email from YouTube saying, hey, you know what? So YouTube Originals, Michelle Obama is doing a documentary with YouTube Originals, and they want to work with 3 female creators from across the world. And they've reached out to us for you. And I was like, oh. I said, come on. I was like, YouTube, you're fine. You can just tell me that you're pushing for me. It's fine. They were like, no, they've specifically reached out and this is what they're saying. Would you be up for doing something? And I was like, first of all, why is there even a question mark at the end of this sentence? Of course, I'm up for doing something like this. And I remember at that time, so much was happening. I was shooting my first Netflix show. My first YouTube original, Pretty Fit, was about to release. I was about to start shooting my first short film, and then we got a message about this, and I just didn't know how to process it. So I remember putting it in a back compartment in my head. I'm like, you know what? We'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll freak out about that. We shot in Lucknow in December that year. And then I met the girls, Liza and Tembi, in LA in January because we'd gone there for a press con where they announced the YouTube original. We didn't meet Mrs. Obama then, but I remember just meeting Liza and Tembi, and I've been a huge fan of both. I mean, Liza, I've been a massive fan of. Tembi, I started watching much later, and I love her absolutely. And I remember talking to them, and that's when it slowly started hitting me as to, how magnanimous this opportunity was. And then in February, we flew back to Washington, D.C., where we shot with Mrs. Obama. And I think you can never prepare yourself for a moment like that. You can never tell yourself, okay, when Michelle Obama walks in through that door, this is what you're going to say and this is how it's going to be. You can never be prepared for that. But I think all that nervous energy was only till she walked in, because right after she walked in, she came and she gave us a warm, tight hug, and it wasn't one of those like one-handed side hugs. It was a proper hug. And I remember her hugging and saying, Prajakta, thank you so much for doing this for us. And I was just like, I was like, what? And then after that, suddenly there was no more nervous energy. We all sat down to have tea and we started talking. And then it was just a bunch of girls sitting down talking about things that really, really are close to their heart. And I think that was one of my favorite things about her. It's almost like she doesn't know she's Michelle Obama. You know what I'm saying? Wow. Very, very relatable, extremely approachable, so warm, so normal, so normal. Like I looked at her and I'm like, I can see that she's Michelle Obama, but she's like, I relate to her so much. And I think that was a wonderful, I think that day will always be one of my favorite days at work ever.
The creators for Change documentary with Michelle Obama. And one of the quality traits I think that you just mentioned, the reason she is a global icon is the fact that she's so affable, because I think that makes her so much
Yeah.
more, someone who can connect
Yeah.
herself to everybody, the masses, right from the classes to the
Yeah.
masses, and that makes a whole lot of difference. And people want to know the kind of stories she wants to tell, the kind of changes she wants to make, and which is why she's also reached out to young people like you. And tons of things that she's done. Humor must have been the backbone of everything she does. But when she started raising her voice against social issues, mainly when you started rapping, I really love that about you, because I think that was also a very young and fresh way to connect to people, because activism is not new to art, not new to music either. We've seen so many artists in the past do that. And rap as a form of art is something that a lot of us have taken to. And somehow it just connects with everyone so beautifully. We've got a few films in India to thank, especially for the kind of uproar it made when it came to India.
Yeah.
And then, of course, more and more artists like you who've already been inspirational to take to it to be able to tell, a story. So what are some of the, when we have a range of issues here and you have spoken about a few, what is it that has been closest to your heart?
Um, it's really tough to pick, because honestly, if I feel very privileged to sort of have a platform where I have a voice, and I have an audience that listens, so I have impact, and I feel very proud of that. Also, I'm extremely fortunate that I get to have something like that. Is why every time we have made a social conversation, it has always been a conversation. It was always things my audience was feeling along with me, or I related to my audience on, so that we could talk about it instead of me, speaking at them about how I think it should be dealt with, because what do I know, honestly? So it's very tough to choose. Girls' education, definitely, but also I think body positivity is very, very, very close to my heart. I think that was one of the main pillars of this entire movement that started on the channel back in 2016. Was the first time we spoke about. So we started speaking about mental health, but that sort of trickled down to body positivity and body image issues being a very important route to mental health problems arising in the future. And I think that my audience and I related on, and we completely still keep talking about that. It's been so many years since Shameless, that was the first rap song that I did, came out. And when it came out, I did not, I knew that it would stick till then, but I was like, obviously I'm going to speak about more things and my audience is going to be exposed to more stuff and they'll grow up. But somehow Shameless has really been an extremely important step in this whole conversation that we started. So I think girls' education and body image issues, body positivity will always be very, very close to my heart.
So Prajakta, okay, now let's get back to the documentary, the Creators for Change. Girls' education and few other things that you focused on, and Michelle has been very, very, strong in these areas across the world. So can you tell me about, how that experience panned out and what you brought back home?
I think for me, girls' education, if you look at it, is not a new conversation. It's a conversation that's been happening for quite some time. In fact, for me, honestly, it had reached a point of saturation in my head where I was really tired of seeing pie charts and statistics and, maps showing this is where education is these many percent women here are, and I was like, that's great, but that doesn't really help me understand how I can really help by using my platform and making a conversation. I think that was beautifully cracked in this documentary where, so I went to Lucknow, I went to the Prerna Girls Foundation, which is a girls' school, which also teaches boys about girls' education, which I think was a loophole that none of us gave enough importance to. Liza went to Vietnam, Tembi went to Namibia, and we were just mediators in making these stories reach people who really should listen. I mean, I met the most amazing, inspiring girls, young girls, talking to me about how they went from not getting education to one of them is now becoming a judge.
Wow.
And her inspiration for that was that, there was so much injustice that happened in my family. I wish I knew better. I could have gone to our judicial system and I could have known how to deal with all the atrocities that happened with us. but I didn't know is why I want to become a judge. And I think these stories are really inspiring when you talk about girls' education. Again, like the fact that they have a boys program where they teach boys why it's important to educate girls, because understanding, having a relative balance of education in the society is always going to make a much bigger impact. And we were so crazy about getting our girls educated, we sometimes didn't think about how important it is for our boys to be educated too. And I think these little loopholes that we sometimes missed in the conversation were very beautifully integrated in this. And it all culminated into me, Liza Temby, and Mrs. Obama sitting down in Washington, D.C. in their favorite restaurant, by the way. The Obamas go to that restaurant all the time. And I was like, I ate the garlic bread there. So sitting down, just talking about our experiences, talking about what education was for us. How sometimes we took it for granted, you realize that. And I think that is what I took back. When I saw these girls talk about it, I realized that, oh my God, there were so many times when I had great education and I took that for granted, which wasn't very cool. So I think just an overall beautiful learning experience this film was.
When you say girls' education, and when you also mentioned that, the boys need to understand about girls' education, these are not conversations we have very often. Like you pointed out, that there are a lot of stress that is given on girls' education, but not how to kind of bring that balance in society amongst both girls and boys. So I think we need more field trips like the one you took.
Yes.
For everyone across.
I'm done with statistics. Like, I'm done with PPT presentations and pie charts. I'm done. Yeah. That does not inspire me to work towards any cause, honestly. I want to go and meet people and I want to talk to them, and I want like, storytelling is beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that always has a much bigger impact than anything else will. So I think we should amplify that.
Yes, totally. And for stars like you, where you have got a huge following, it does impact. And I think together we can always kind of try and push and give importance, and also try to veer people's thinking, mindsets, and to more field trips in the future for sure, for everyone, right from school to college, all the way, even in the corporate world for that matter. Yeah, we sometimes just lose touch because we're so stuck in those four walls of, like you're saying, office pie charts and reports and targets, and oh my God, that's crazy.
And I honestly felt like there is so much I learned, or so much I didn't know about girls' education as an overall sort of concept. There's so much that I didn't know about it. I thought I knew about it because I was like, I'm speaking about it. I've done content about it, and I have, I know what's girls' education and things. But you actually meet these girls and you listen to them talk about it, and you realize that you're not even scratching the surface most of the times.
Now, tell me about quickly mental health. That's also something you've put a lot of focus on. And it's something I think through the lockdown and the pandemic, when everybody was hit with social isolation, we've all gone through different phases. I've had my share of panic attacks. I've had my share of, I know my friends who've had their share of, different issues. And we don't talk about it enough. We don't have like a regular conversation about this because it has been taboo. I know when I was growing up, it was a really, really big taboo. And at least now we've opened up and we've talked, we can talk about it to at least friends, and then bring parents into the conversation and other people into the conversation. So when you opened yourself up and said, you know what, here I am, send me whatever is going through your mind, how did you tackle that? Why did you do it in the first place?
Because, so I remember it was World Mental Health Day in 2016. And it was falling on a Tuesday. So I was like, oh, great. I said, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about mental health. But I was like, I'm not, like, how do I help people? I can't tell them what to do, other than go see a therapist. Uske alawa, I can't give any feedback or I can't give any suggestions when it comes to mental health. So I remember I said, you know what, most of the times, maybe the problem, like you said, is maybe they don't want anyone to know about it, but they're still looking for an outlet. I said, so I remember putting it out saying, I might not give you solutions, but here's an email ID. And you can just use that as your emotional dump. I said, just write and share. I, in fact, got so many emails with the subject saying, don't open. And I didn't open. I was like, okay, great. You know what? I'm fine. I'm not going to open it because I just felt like, I told them, I said, I'm never going to share it anywhere. My team's not going to see it. It's just going to be me. So, if you want a place where you just want to let out and you feel like you're talking to somebody, but you don't want to reveal who you are or whatever it is that you're going through, I said, just dump it there. And I think that's how it started. I thought I'll get a few hundred emails, but I remember that week we got over 8,000 emails. And that's when I realized how massive of an issue this was, especially in my audience. I had children as young as 9 years old writing to me. There was this one girl who was 9, and it was a very heartbreaking email where she wrote about how she was suicidal because she was fat and dark. And she was 9 when her parents were telling her that you're never going to get married and you're never going to have a life. And I'm like, she's 9. Yeah. And that's when I realized that, that I think that's where the whole body image thing sort of really surfaced for me, because a lot of these emails, a majority of these emails somehow were stemming from how they looked or how they saw themselves in the mirror. I am not a lot of emails started with, I don't have many friends because I'm not very good looking. And I think a lot of this was very hugely dependent on how their bodies were and how they looked at themselves. I realized
also more like how parents had put it to them. I mean, they're so young, right? And their minds are impressionable. So if that's the culture at home, or if that's the conversation you're having at home, you can only imagine that a
lot of things. I think when you are young, like you said, we're so impressionable and we're always dependent on the entertainment industry, or we're always dependent on Instagram. We're always dependent on our YouTube videos. We're always dependent on movies. And somehow, I mean, I'm sure all of us at some point in life thought that, oh my God, I am not good looking because I don't look like the girl on my TV, or I don't look like the girl who comes in my magazines every night. So I just, it's just, I think it's a rite of passage for all of us. But I think what comes out of the other side of the tunnel was important to me, because I remember my parents helping me through something like that. And I knew that if I have a platform where I can sort of speak about this and normalize it, I remember telling my team, I said, I don't want to sensationalize this. I really want to normalize this. I want to talk about how it's okay to be fat, and calling someone fat because they're fat is okay. It's exactly like calling someone slim, let's take shame away from words and sort of just make them regular words we use, and be okay with people being of different sizes. And I think that is again a conversation that came about so beautifully, and that only happened because of the mad response that I got from my audience.
Wow, that's amazing. And you keep up the good work. It's really cool. Okay, here is your rapid fire round. Tell me, what was the last movie you watched on any OTT platform?
I was watching, my mom and I, thank God, because I was going to say Viva, because day before yesterday I was watching Viva. I love that film. You feel free to judge. But I was, last night I was watching The Intern with Mama and Baba. They'd not watched it. I was like, it's one of my favorite De Niro movies. You have to watch it.
Oh my God, I was this close to watching it, and I was like, I have already, but the second or third time that I was watching it, it's really fun to watch it. Okay. Two of your international, maybe pop stars that you're a huge fan of?
How to choose? Pop stars. I really like Taylor Swift.
Oh.
I really like Taylor Swift. I mean, I've loved her ever since
I think she's a great songwriter. No one can take that away from her.
And I love watching her interviews. I appreciate her honesty every now and then. I like Taylor Swift, and I also like One Direction. I've been crushing a little bit on One Direction.
What are you saying? Now that the boys have gone separate ways, do you have preferences?
I know. I mean, I'm gonna go to Harry. I'm a little bit biased towards the beauty of that boy.
Watermelon Sugar playing in the background. Why not?
Oh man, this morning I was working out to That's What Makes You Beautiful. And
see?
Thanks, Harry.
Who was your childhood celebrity crush?
Daniel Radcliffe.
What?
I remember crying myself to sleep one night because God was so unfair that I couldn't marry him.
If you were
I have written pages
really
about it. Yeah, I've written about God. I'm very angry with you that you made him, you birthed him on the other side of the world, and we can't meet, and I can't marry my soulmate, and it was quite a heartbreak.
Oh my God. What lovely memories you have. Wow. If you were to be a comic superhero for one day, who would it be?
I would. I think I'd be Iron Man. He has too much swag.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right? You're the first person that comes to mind. Swag. Yeah.
Also,
I
one
like
of my
that.
first favorite superheroes. Also, because he made himself, he wasn't born with superhero qualities.
Very
He's a
relatable.
regular man
Yeah.
who's a
Yeah.
superhero. And I think that is great because most of our superheroes were blessed or like a lightning struck them or a spider bit them. You know what I'm saying? This wasn't at all supernatural, and I like that.
Okay, now moving on to is there a video game you like to play? And have you played any recently?
I used to play, I used to play Super Mario and I used to play Road Rash when I was younger, and those shooting duck things because I had that proper video game with a cassette holder, and you had a gun and you could shoot ducks at your TV. But I was very, very young. Right now, listen, if you see the games in my phone, my favorite game is called Redecor. It's just home
What?
decor.
That is so cool.
I love home decor and I am done decorating my house. There's not much to do during lockdown. So I've started and I'm doing pretty well on that game. Huh? Like I'm earning a lot of fake money.
If at all that is something you want to have like a third or a fourth, profession waiting on the sidelines for you, it's definitely interior designing.
Yeah, I think I would do that.
Okay, which dessert makes you go really weak in your knees?
Gulab jamun.
Yeah?
I'm not really a dessert person. I don't like sweets that much. Two things actually. One, gulab jamun, and two, Pooja Dhingra makes this cream cheese and strawberry cake. I can never stop eating that. Just these two things.
Oh my God, Pooja Dhingra, here you have a huge fan in Prajakta Koli. And what's your favorite beverage?
Chai.
Okay, and here is your last question. If you do get a chance to meet someone who maybe is not alive, could be alive too, I'm giving you that option. Any of your favorite personalities that you'd like to meet, who would it be? And what would you like to say to them?
Not alive. I think I would love to meet Anne Frank.
Okay.
Because I wouldn't say anything. I would just like to hug her and thank her for getting me through one of the most difficult days. I remember I keep reading her book over and over, and it has given me a lot of hope even through this pandemic. There's this beautiful thing that she says, because they're stuck in the war, and it's a beautiful chapter where she can hear places getting bombed around her, and she writes about how people aren't bad, they're just good people stuck in bad situations, and that is why war happens. I mean, her entire family got exiled and she lost everybody to the war, but she was still so optimistic about it, and I think that gives me a lot of hope about living every day being grateful. So Anne Frank, and alive, I cannot wait to meet Ellen DeGeneres, hopefully.
Yeah? Oh my God. This is going to be her last season. I'm sure you're catching up with every one of it. Every episode.
I am so upset. She's extended it for one last year and I cannot let the Ellen show go. I don't know. I remember going to the Warner Brothers studio on a Sunday. So she wasn't filming that day. So we actually got to go on the stage where she films. And I was like, Bhagwan ji, bas एक बार यहाँ ले आओ मेरे को कोने में बिठा देना ऑडियंस में कहीं पे but oh my God, I can't wait. I really hope I get to meet her.
I'm sure you will. Thank you so much once again, and hope to see you doing all the crazy things you've been doing so far through your channels. It's just beautiful. Thank you, Prajakta. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
One world, your station.